We have a lot to discuss today, my friends, a lot to discuss on so many levels. Today, think of it as a tutorial meets common sense disquisition and exposition of truth. I want to welcome all of you, especially if you're new to this Lionel Nation conspiratorium. Many of you are brand new. You catch me on the overnights on WABC, the monster 50,000 watt flamethrower. Many of you have been with us here. You're from other platforms, and be X or Facebook or one of those. So anyway, in any event, I say welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me remind you before I forget anything. On July 19th, I'm going to be at the famed and storied Cutting Room in New York City. For an event of, I don't want to call it a stand-up. It's not stand-up. I hate stand-up comedy. Call it what you want. But what's interesting about it is that, yes, I do my thing, and who knows, maybe we'll play a tune or two. But what's interesting about this is that you will oftentimes present me with questions and observations on index cards, which I read during the course of this. You're not going to see a, quote, comedian do this because they would not know what to do if they were thrown off by this. I do. I'm in the best training of my life because this is what we do. Life doesn't lend itself to people sticking to the topic. I don't know what that means, but when you talk to a friend or talk to family, the conversations don't have a topic. So if you throw something at me, I know the area. I'm conversant enough with the particular area to handle it. So in any event, that's what makes a difference. So July 19th, tickets are available right here on the permanently pinned on there, which I bring to your attention. And I want to talk about so much that's going on today. By the way, welcome, 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 welcome. Tragedy, Minnesota. What does it mean? I don't know. That's the answer. I don't know. I don't know. They said he's a madman. He's not a madman necessarily. Could be. But doing bad things doesn't mean you're crazy at all. It means your sense of judgment, maybe your role in this may be crazy. I think for me personally, destroying human life is horrible. Yet, what I also find interesting more than anything else is how we compartmentalize which human life is lost and which isn't. I had a friend recently who was just not kvelling, but just waxing fantastic about, oh my God, this is great. You know, the Israeli, the attack and the precision. What are you talking about, precision? No, the precision attack. I said, what are you talking about? Well, Fox News is the worst, by the way. So here's the story. When you talk about human life, when you talk about children pulled out of rubble repeatedly, people don't bat an eye. You have one lunatic, as you say, who shoots people up, which is wrong and horrible and terrible. And they go berserk over that. But you have mass slaughter of people. And you say, well, that's different because, look, that's Hamas. And, if that's what, it's what you're going to get. I love the way we compartmentalize it. I love it. The Hamas is terrible. We can drop bombs. They can't have a nuclear bomb. We can have a nuclear bomb. And the best part, now the world is accusing Trump of having lied to them, setting them up. You're not going to hear this on Fox News. And so does that matter to you? To me, it does. I want to know everything about the truth. I want to know everything. What are they saying? What are we doing? How do we appear to the world? How do we appear? President Trump apparently is indicating that he knew all about this, that this was all a setup to kind of lull people. Now, I don't know what you say about the intel, but Trump supposedly said, hey, we're going to work this thing out. No, he had no indication of this whatsoever. So what does that mean? It's hard to tell. So my friend, today is, I think, the No King's Day, which may or may not be going through. What does it mean? What does it matter? Let's go over a few things, shall we? Let's make sure we kind of grasp how this thing works, which I think is fascinating. Fascinating on many, many, many levels. You know, one of the things which is sort of interesting, I think, is the fact of how many different topics are going on. And I meet a lot of folks who are kind of new at this, and they don't really know they don't know what to make out of this. It's very difficult for them because they're used to very, very simple types of, what's the word? Simple forms of, I guess you'd call it variations of the news, perhaps, maybe. What we see right now, which is very interesting and very, very sad, is this idea of tyranny wears a mask now. This is very interesting. Let me go back a little bit. Eric Bren was that fellow who was on Ed Sullivan years ago. He had the plates and the bowls, and he spun the plates and the bowls, and he did all this stuff. And it was very interesting. Sometimes he'd add more plates, more bowls, more this, more that. And what I found was that today, if you really want to get to the bottom of this, if you really, honest to God, want to get to what's happening, you're going to have to ask yourself the question, the following. Are you able to follow a lot of different bowls, so to speak, at the same time, simultaneously? Are you able to do that? A good friend, Make the Dream Great, says, let's make the dream great, Grand Uncle Lenny. Well, you know what? You're right about that, and I appreciate that. But I want to make sure we have reality versus the dream. But I understand you, and I appreciate you 100%. Thank you for that. But I want to know everything. But as this fellow, as I was saying, the plates and the bowls, he would do this stuff. And today, in order to do it, we have plates and bowls and all kinds of jazz and all kinds of fascinating variations of this. But we also have something which is interesting as well. We have different issues, different plates, it all changes. And for you to be really attuned, you got to be able to handle a lot of different subjects at the same time. And a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different realities. And what's interesting now is, as I said to you, tyranny wears a mask. You know, most people wouldn't recognize the notion of tyranny, you know, the tyrant, if it masked their faces and, locked them in their homes and engineered the largest wealth transfer in human history. If it censored their news or their speech, demanded all this information and data and papers from them, and if they injected them under threat of exile. We live in a world of tyranny, of tyrants. This isn't hyperbole right now. If you think you live in this world of freedom, you're not paying attention. Now, some people think that maybe as long as you're not in prison, maybe that's okay. I think, no, I kind of need a little bit more than not being in prison. To me is not freedom. My world is a little bit different than that. But the modern day playbook is absolutely horrid. And what we are witnessing right now, and what we are seeing over the last several years in particular, it wasn't a pandemic. It was a test. It was a beta test, a stress test on society, a drill, like a dress rehearsal on obedience. It was a psyop regarding the weaponization of fear. I know you might think I'm going to, but put it this way. If you're a member of the conspiratorium, you understand exactly what I'm saying. See, to a lot of newcomers, they don't respond well to this because they think this is over the top, but it's not. This is bad. They weaponized fear. They criminalized your ability to exhibit dissent. They said, oh, no. You're going to pay for that. And they wanted you compliant and obeisant and obedient. And they wanted to make sure that they incentivized it. They said, we want you to keep your mouth shut. Just move along. And they had this almost like safety theater and preventative statistics. Talked to a friend of mine today. I'm seeing more and more of this. Guy I've known for a long time. Now he's got brain cancer. Now, there's always been brain cancer, but I'm sure running into a lot of people. And I'm not saying there was any connection whatsoever to the vaccine. I don't know. Because they said, well, they took the vaccine, but a lot of people did. I don't know. But I'm just starting to notice something. And you know what else I've noticed? That when you notice something, when something affects you, you should really pay attention to it. Really pay attention to what it means. Pay attention. Never discount your gut instinct. Listen to what's happening. Be able to understand the reality. The truth is tough. I'm telling you, the truth is really tough. It's something you don't want to get involved in. The truth is a nasty, nasty thing. And it's just because sometimes it gives you answers that you don't particularly care for. It's one of those things. It's convention, circumstances, that reality, that's not what upsets us. It's your opinion about them and the value you put on them. That's what upsets you. So it's not the data itself. It's what you attribute to it. Now, we live right now in a world that's incredible. We have the manipulation of everything you can imagine, every emotion, every thought, every reaction regarding even sports or health or politics. And the result we have right now is a massive, huge, and this people forget this, a centralization of wealth and power and a surveillance state, the likes of which you cannot even comprehend. Emboldened, bigger, surveillance state. And you have, in many respects, you either have a demoralized public or a clueless public. And, blessed be the clueless or clueless. They don't really know. And they're kind of happy with this. And they watch Fox News. And Fox News today, it's so interesting. Instead of talking about the president's birthday or whatever events he had today, I don't even know if they're going to have this because it's raining on the East Coaster. I don't know if they're even going to go through with these. They have the No Kings rally, and they're talking about the shooting. Interesting how that works. The tyrants, the tyranny that we live under, they don't storm the gates. Remember, who's the enemy today? Where are they? They're in your DMs. They're in your social media. They came, going back to the health thing, as public health officials, as the folks, the tech overlords. The number one who is far more critical in our world right now than Elon Musk is Peter Thiel and Palantir. In my world, Palantir is all we're talking about. To other people, they don't even know what that is. They have no idea. Remember something. The people that I find to be the most problematic are not my enemies, but the people who claim to be on the same side as me. That's the official. Or that's the problem. We the bad guys today are internal. Tech overlords. National security experts. The people who pose a threat to our country have nothing to do with foreign countries. Nothing. Nothing to do with foreign countries. Nothing. I guarantee you right now. I guarantee you. Iran doesn't pose a threat to us in the least. But they're going to be doing false flags coming up. Remember this. Make the Dream says, what was the most previous so-called wealth transfer? We're hearing the Great Reset for years. Put it this way. We're having not only in a redistribution of wealth, Dick, not the usual stuff, but almost a redistribution via new currencies and new worlds, so to speak. If that makes any sense. Let me explain something to you. Work with me on this. And like I said, I appreciate being you because I can't do this in any other forum but here. I can't. They sell you protection, but they steal your freedom. And when it was over, when all that stuff was over, during that terrible time, there was no Nuremberg, there was no justice, no reckoning. I love this term, reckoning. No, just silence, forgetfulness, because we forget everything. Never forget what they did to us during COVID. Never forget what they did to us during COVID. Never. I'll never forget it. I am so, not only that, but remind me to tell you one day about this conversation I had with a doctor. Not now, it's not appropriate, but even medical, even within the medical profession, the disinformation and it's just incredible. But I digress. I want you to listen to what I'm saying, though. Prepare for another false flag terrorism case. This is an alert. False flag is the easiest. False flag is, there's two things which are the most easy to do. So easy. Where is the battleground? The battleground is the media, the platform, the what we used to call the headlines. That's the battleground. That's the focus. Not Tehran. No. It's who gets the headlines. Who controls public opinion. Now, don't forget the deep state right now, and the deep state police state is preparing for its next move. This is a neocon CIA globalist complex, always hunger for more control. Remember two things, false flag and agent or agent provocateur. It's the easiest to get somebody who's a nut, send them in, have them do something crazy, and then dispose of them. Like they did in 1970 with Joe Colombo. They took that black guy in, they brought him in through Joey Gallo. He shot him up and then they shot him. It's just, it's done with. It throws everything off. It's so cheap. Have somebody either pretend they're from the other side or a particular faction. Because right now, get ready. If I had to put my money on anything, remember, ask yourself, what would you do if you ran the show? I would make sure that I absolutely positively had somebody claim to be from Iran, some Iranian bad guy coming along to, shoot people up or blow something up. Absolutely. Make says, yeah, that's my point. They call it the greatest wealth transfer. Absolutely. 1%. We've never seen anything like this. I mean, we had in the old days during the Gilded Age. Yeah, you had folks and you had the usual suspects, but not like this. Carnegie and all those people. No. Now listen to what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because even I would do it. The bad guys, the intel ops and those folks and the globalists, the shadow government, they're always hungry for some kind of control. And they always want to plant the seed for the next crisis. Alex Jones is talking about this. People are talking about this everywhere. Get ready for the Iranian sleeper cells. Remember that? Sleeper cell. And the other one was the lone wolf. I love that. Either story explained it. Hey, who are those people? They were sleeper cells. They were here the whole time. And once they got the code, once they got that little decoder ring, then they leapt into action. What about this guy? He's by himself. He's not a part of a sleeper cell. He's a lone wolf. We just changed the scenario to make you just follow our lead. And by the by, remember something. No matter who these people are, if they call you conspiracy theorists, the people in charge, they're the best. They could teach you a few things as to how stories are developed in the like. Remember, Iranian sleeper cells. They're coming at you. This is the most despotic, evil, theocratic, crazy with their funny hats and they want our freedom or whatever. I don't know what they want. You cannot believe the night and day attitude and the coverage between what's happening on Fox News. Fox News should just be straight from either the Pentagon or Raytheon or the Institute for the Study of War. They are so. There was a woman who was clapping, almost fetishistically clapping over this perceived precision of this Israeli attacks on Tehran. This beautiful precision, which parenthetically means this humanitarian case, because they are so precise, they don't waste, innocent people. They're just precise and pinpoint. Or their ingenuity, their ability to come up with these devices, these wild, like the beepers that exploded. And even Netanyahu brought a beeper and they gave it as a prize. God forbid you're on a private plane and that beeper goes off or you're a 10-year-old kid sitting next to it. Remember, Iranian sleeper cells. Yes, they're back. Back to the same old script. It's perfect. We went through this. Remember these stories. Remember after PNAC, after 9/11, after Iraq, the same war hawks, which is redundant, who lied to get us into Iraq, the same ones who armed extremists, whatever, in Libya and Syria. Remember those ones? And then funded proxy chaos in Ukraine. They're now whispering into their media shill ears that Iran will unleash attacks on U.S. soil. Be careful. It's coming. Be on the lookout. Beware. And what they'll do is, we got to do something, right? Oh, absolutely. We've got to go to Iran. Well, because they've unleashed sleeper cells. Well, they haven't. We're just saying be on the lookout for them. Yeah, but that's as good as go. Well, yeah. That's why we're there. We'll get them. Finish the job. Remember what Condi Rice said? It's better to fight them there than here. One of my favorite lines ever. Remember this from 9/11? It's better to fight them there than here. It's the most beautiful story I've ever heard in my life. Week 1, Elon, Doge on X, was taking trillions. By the end of the week, they stopped saying even billions. We don't know where they went. Oh, look, our friend Franco Blondi says, notice the measles scare vanished. Well, they come and they go. And thank you, by the way, gentlemen, and Big Dick from Chi-Town, thank you. They come and they go. They come and they go. It'll be monkeypox. Monkeypox. That just scares the hell out of you. Remember that? It went away. Remember, this isn't intel. Listen carefully. It's narrative prepping, softening you up, conditioning you to accept another round of, I don't know, domestic clampdowns and, wars or whatever it is. That's the issue, to get you prepared for that. Expect some event, staged, orchestrated, conveniently timed, tightly managed, not a lot of evidence, maximally televised, and the goal, of course, manufactured consent. Noam Chomsky. Manufactured consent. Spark outrage. Demand immediate retaliation. Why those bastards? Man? All the while expanding surveillance. All the while expanding censorship and censorship opposition. Framing anybody questioning any voice as a sympathizer. You're a Putin apologist. Or the opposite. You're questioning Israel. You're an anti-Semite. See how that works? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And if you're Jewish and you're against this, you're an anti-Semite. You're a Jew who's an anti-Semite. Don't forget, during Vietnam, you were un-American. Love it or leave it. Remember that? None of this is new. It's just kind of repackaged. And it's not about national defense. That's what, remember, you have to understand this. It's not about that. That's the notion. It's about narrative defense. It's about, false flags are no longer conspiracies. They're traditions. We want them to happen. We know better. But yet the number of Americans who aren't keen to this is another story. How about agents, I love saying that, agents provocateurs, manufactured dissent. Okay, we have manufactured consent, manufactured dissent. In the streets, in your cities, out in the crowds, you won't see an organic uprising. What you'll see are agents provocateurs, agents provocateurs. These embedded folks, these operatives trained and funded to incite whatever you want. You want chaos? You want to delegitimize real protest? You want to provide an excuse for a crackdown? Hegelian dialectic. You know that? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis, problem, reaction, solution. They dress like protesters. They chant like protesters. They even pretend to be outraged. Remember, agent provocateur, Antifa. They have buses. Will give you $1,000. Here's the bricks. Meet here. Get the PDF. Text here. We'll use Telegram or we'll use whatever our particular platform is. Be on the look. Show up here. We'll send you money in crypto. It's there. And of course, Pam Bondi, bless her heart, Kash Patel, bless his heart, Dan Bongino, bless his heart. They're still waving promises in front of you about getting to the bottom of Epstein. They really do this. They really honestly believe this. Franco Blondie says, how's No Kings going in New York City? Oh, yeah. YouTube gave me my channel back after 3 years. They thank me for my patience. We're seeing this, which is a wonderful thing. Welcome back, Franco. You've been with us forever. Make the great James says, human narrative of defense. Yep. See, this is why we're so good. This is why we're so good. There are people on Fox News who would say to yourself, or Newsmax or whatever. They're just children. They don't even understand it. Imagine you being dropped off in the past. You're from the future and you go to a hospital in maybe, I don't know, the 1700s, and you're talking about sepsis and bacteria and antibiotics. Look at that. What are you talking about? What? Yeah, you should. What? Can I wash up? For what? For the surgery. Wash your hands? Should we wear a mask? Wear a mask. Sterile field? What are you talking about? That's the way I feel now. I feel like I'm from the future here, and the people that oppose me the most aren't members of the group, but people who are supposedly on my side. I'm always fighting them. I always think I'm crazy. Here he goes again. But I'm used to it. In fact, if they don't think I'm crazy, I'm not doing a good job. We have to understand something. We have to get the word out. The real job of the agent provocateur is to escalate, to throw the brick and light the fire and shatter the window and turn the car over and then vanish into the ground untouched, kind of looking alike, wearing the same clothes. And nobody from CNN will look into it. Nobody from MSDNC? No. Why? Because the people that fund them, the proxy media platforms, are the people who fund these groups. And guess what? Oh, did you see where Alex, was it Soros, and Huma Abedin are getting married? Can you believe the cojones? Alex, why are you bothering? She landed on her feet, huh? Buried to the Soros group? Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Again, the connection of Uma, the Clintons, she's the perfect operative. And they know this. They know this. So guess what? The media camera just happened to catch that moment. You know what I mean? That moment. The politician just happened to issue a statement. The police were just waiting for permission. It's all perfectly timed. It's all a setup. The narrative is written. The scripted event, written and drafted and choreographed, not for the people, but for perception. We don't care about the truth. We want people to react to it. We don't care about what's the truth. Nobody will question us. Remember this. Imagine living in a world today where you said, you mean to tell me they can charge me with a speeding ticket? They don't have to show me a radar gun or how they calibrated their... in the old days, they would have you here, and the cop would time you here to here, and from a helicopter, or the police they would calibrate how fast you were going based upon their own speedometer. Well, now we have radar guns, but before that, they just kind of guesstimated. That's the way we are right now. But we're just being told, well, this is just the way it is. It's a perception. But you're not asking women, who are these people? I don't know. Whatever happened to this plot to kill President Trump? I don't know. Who were those people? I don't know. We don't know. Nobody will follow up. We don't follow up through this. We still haven't gotten to the bottom of 9/11. We don't get to the bottom of anything. Nothing. And you've got somebody who's on Fox News absolutely becoming juicy over the notion of this death in Tehran. They ought to pull a kid out like a rag doll. Splat. You like this? You like this? You like here? You want to see? You have kids? Yeah. That's your son's age. Look at him. You think that's great? Like that precision? We've lost our souls. You know, this fellow who did this horrible act in Minnesota, who, by the way, worked supposedly with Tim Walz, Tampon Tim. I don't know what he did, but they're saying he was a madman. He's not a madman. I mean, could be, but not necessarily. A lot of these people just aren't. They're not crazy. They're not crazy at all. Not at all. They're just doing what they think they have to do. This is their thing. This is their story. Meg says 2024, 2025, I don't want to be a Vivek. Vivek Ramaswamy is so gone, it's not even funny. He didn't know what hit him. Notice how Elon is sifting back. Remember, what happened to him? What was this about? Does that really get you? He is still absolutely, positively one of the biggest people ever. His stories. He is so huge. He is so incredible. You doing your thing at 5? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Make sure you listen to Miss. Just always make sure you follow Mrs. L. Huh? Well, we'll see. We'll see. But whatever it is, always follow Mrs. L. She was in D.C. all yesterday. She goes there all the time. You can't believe the stuff she tells. I'm not going to speak for her. You can't believe it. Can I say that one thing about Biden, just without mentioning names? Yes. Okay. She's talking to somebody really, really high up. Absolutely, positively. And this person happens to be a Democrat. And when you're in the council chambers of D.C., being Democrat, being Republican, it doesn't really matter. Because when you're in Washington, you're a part of the system, the blob, so to speak. It doesn't matter. And he said, brilliant person, he said, remember, Democrat, everybody knew Biden wasn't in Washington, wasn't in the White House. He was in Delaware, Rehoboth Beach, or where everybody knew it. And he's a Biden vet. He said it wasn't even a matter of question. Let me say that to you again. Everybody knew it. Nobody said it. Nobody brought it up. Nobody. Woodrow Wilson, it was Edith, whatever his wife is. He was like for a year and a half, he was gone. So let me just say something to you. What you're hearing is a dream. 1,000 likes, kind sir. Absolutely. We need this, my friends. We so need. You've been terrific. You have put us on the map. People are catching on. People are loving what we do. Make sure you tell people what to follow us and join us and subscribe. I appreciate this. But let me just explain this again to you. We know this. I know this. You know this. You kind of grasp what's happening. I have very few people. There are some people I just never talk to. Never. I can't possibly talk to them about. The Middle East has nothing to do with Judaism. Nothing to do with Islam. Nothing. Do you think the troubles? Do you think in the 70s? Well, actually from the 20s, all from Michael Collins and the partition. But do you think that the troubles in Northern Ireland had to do with religion? Martin Luther versus the Vatican? No, even though they were called Protestants and Catholics, that wasn't it. That was a means of identifying them. Nothing. It wasn't a war about religion. It was about territory and that sort of thing. Now, meanwhile, the patriots, of which I believe we are one, the people genuinely demanding some kind of accountability you, get lumped in, smeared, surveilled, punished as Franco, deprogrammed, deplatformed, shadow banned. And the message is clear. Speak out, and we will treat you like them. Say something, and we will take your means of communication and we'll destroy it. This is psychological warfare. This is the new empire. This isn't just law enforcement. It's psych warfare. It's weaponized imagery. It's chaos as control. It's about your perception. Remember, it's not the event. It's what you think it is. It's what you think it is. Have you ever met people who... I had a conversation the other day. Some people are absolute, I don't want to say they're, hypochondriacs, but they're very different. They're very strange. And what they are is, for example, this. They will say, I know some people who are so worried about getting any kind of disease. They're so worried. They're so freaked out. Oh my God, they're always going to the doctor. Oh my God, what about this? Another friend of mine says, we were talking, this is a doctor. And I said, what about PSAs? He said, it is absolutely the trend now for the PSAs are just overrated. He says, they're slow. He says, isn't it better? He said, do you really want to find out if you've got a cancer? It's better. I said, wait a minute. You don't want to be told that? This is a doctor. He said, well, not really. Not really? You don't want to know whether you've got prostate cancer or not, or whether I should do a biopsy? He says, no, because they're slower. And by the way, the people who have it. And I said, I can't believe what I'm hearing. I've got Joe hypochondriac over here, and I've got a doctor who says, have you ever seen this? When you go to they used to have colonoscopies. Hey, if you're clear, see you in 5 years, because colon cancer proceeds very slowly. Now they're saying 10 years. Ladies, if you heard this, mammograms. You don't need mammograms all the time. Just do them every day. How did the perception of breast cancer change all of a sudden? My friend who's a radiologist, when I tell him this, he goes berserk. He had somebody the other day who found out they did a routine during one of these periods of time, and they found an anal tumor. I mean, significant anal, not colon, not a colon polyp, but an anal tumor. He had no idea. But the point is, this is as an example of perception. How do you work this out? Do you get upset by it? Are you worried? I know people who just frankly say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't. See, people like us, we don't need tanks in the streets. That's not what the war now is about. Not about bullets. It's about pixels on your screen or something. They need curated clips and AI generated. I'm going to stop and say, remember how long I've been telling you. The number one, the existential threat to society, without a doubt, is AI. AI is good. You have no earthly idea. Let me give you an example. Let's see if I can put this into perspective. This might be something that some people could pay attention to and listen to. Make Them Again says, it's Christianity for me, the Crusades, then 1176. We're not a pre-generative democracy. Ooh, I like that. I like that, pre-generative. Thank you for that. Let me give you an example of something, which is kind of interesting. Let's assume all of a sudden Israel or Iran or whoever you want, I don't care who it is, they're about to institute some weapon system, something. Remember, the issue is they're saying Israel had to have gotten all of its information and data from us. We were involved in the targeting of Tehran, not Israel. They don't have satellites. We've got satellites. So while all this was going on, while everybody was saying all these wonderful things about President Trump saying, yeah, we're gonna work things out. Yeah, it wasn't happening at all. Not even none of it happened. He was planning the war. He was planning the attack. And they're saying, did you really do that? Well, and they're asking him, did you Can we trust you anymore? Trust has nothing to do with this. This is going on right now. This is as we speak. So anyway, so let's assume in the future, all of a sudden, Tel Aviv or Kyiv or whoever it is decides they push a button for something and nothing works. Or all of a sudden they find out that their weapons that were deployed are going the wrong direction. They're going out to sea. And you say, wait a minute, what happened here? Who did this? Who did this? Who sabotaged our war effort? Who did this? And they said, sir, as best as we can figure, it was, as best as we can see, it was a drone. It was a bot. It was something that acted on its own. A bot was created on its own. Remember, recursive self-improvement. It wires itself. Remember the word alignment. Alignment is the word that we use that says, does an AI system enjoy the same kind of morals that we do, the same focus, the same direction? Apparently, sir, we believe that an AI bot spontaneously generated, not that we did, disagrees apparently with Israel's policy or with Iran's policy. And through this ham-fisted whatever, just destroyed all computer telemetry, all weapon system coordination, and destroyed it. Or had them blow up on this thing. Or we don't know who did it, and we can't stop it. It will not let us fire. It jammed all of our signals. We're not getting any of the satellite information because it appears that maybe one of these AI things has a real problem with what we are doing and does not like what we're doing and does not care for what we're doing. And it's and you say, wait a minute, how do I stop this? You can't stop it. What is it? I don't know what it is. I don't know where it is. It has its own, for lack of a better word, morality. Try explaining this to people. Good luck. You can't. You can't. It is what everybody is putting their money on. Palantir. You know what was it? Was it Lavender? That uses AI programming to target. Puts all this data in. Where do you think this Iranian, nuclear physicist is or whatever? I think he's over here. Let's have them meet together. That's the way he's targeting. Not human intel, AI intel. And they're denying it, but everybody knows it's true. This is shape-shifting. This is existential. Elon Musk is putting all his money. He doesn't give a shit about Doge and saving some money at Social Security. That was a cover. What we're talking about right now is something so big. And let me also tell you something. In 20 to 25 years, what if I told you that, let's just say 10%, just 10% of all the jobs available that went to a certain folks, warehousemen, packing agents, shipping clerks, all of them gone. From here to from sea to shining sea, you will see empty warehouses in pitch black, freezing temperatures, sweltering because there's no humans, picking, putting things, having. And that's mild. The AI generated consensus, by the way, which is also going to affect news, it's going to affect everything. It's going to be algorithmic rage loops. It will control everything. The human involvement, the human effort will be indistinguishable from that. You will not know what is legitimate. This is fifth generation warfare. And it doesn't use bullets. It uses, again, memes, narratives, fear, humiliation, hate, idea, labels. It's how empires are maintaining power when they've lost, moral compass or moral legitimacy. They simulate threats. They pretend. They create threats. They play your fear like a mixing board. They fabricate urgency and dread, and they create division and diversion. I mean, it's beautiful. And to keep you from realizing that you are not the enemy, they are. Do what we say. We'll keep you safe, America. We got to do something about those Iranian lone wolf threats. I thought you said they were sleeper cells. Yeah, I did, but I changed my mind. It's a lone wolf. That's the ticket. It's a lone wolf. Pilgrim says, Dave, what are you doing, Dave? Stop, Dave. Yes. Open the pod bay door, Hal. How about the other day when you had an AI system that suspected they were going to shut it down, attempted to blackmail the coordinators or the code writers. And there was no code, by the way. Remember when they said, learn code? AI is going to... It's everywhere. So you've got to stay smart. You got to stay sharp. You got to watch who throws the first brick and who just happens to live stream it when it happens with perfect framing and no consequences. You won't be able to tell real from Memorex. And that's not activism, my friend. That's theater. That's political theater. And I want to talk to you about something else which nobody wants to talk about. Military fetishism. This is the new religion. And I know this bothers people because especially those cowboy and those who want to play soldier, especially with their big lapel pins. I got my American flag and this flag and my CIA and my FBI and support our troops. Today's the 250th anniversary of the Army. Okay. I've got no problem with that. Washington's obsession with military hardware, and a lot of people, isn't about patriotism. Oh, no. It's a fetishism. It's a hollow worship of missiles and machines and death and monstrous budgets. This keeps them going. This keeps the Lindsey Grahams happy. If you don't clap for every drone strike, you're un-American. If you dare ask why we can't fix our cities or our schools, potholes, anybody have potholes in your problem? Potholes, in terms of the ease by which it can be fixed, is so... We could, by virtue of satellite imagery, it's some weird kind of filtration, but we could basically see where potholes are. We could have devices made. Nobody cares about potholes. There's no money in potholes. What about our border? What about this? No, because we don't want to do something to prevent sending weapons to foreign lands, to send in groups. Every time we bring in the military, somebody gets paid. If you don't like that, you're labeled a traitor or a conspiracy theorist or some kind of a nut. And we've seen this before, and you've got to be aware of it. And let me say this again, because I just love to keep saying this. If I was on Fox News telling people to be fearful of Fox News, they wouldn't have me on. Pilgrim says artificial intelligence, 100%. Believe me. Look at what Eliezer Yudkowsky says in particular. Listen, it is the most, the what was his name? Lipton, forget his name. The Nobel laureate who basically created artificial intelligence through neural programming. There's no, remember, the alignment part. And meanwhile, as we do all this stuff, the empire crumbles. From within, cities rot, infrastructures collapse. Veterans, we love the veterans, sleeping on subway grates on the street while defense contractors buy their third and fourth yacht. The level of hypocrisy is unbelievable. And this isn't national defense. It's national theater. It's about perception. It's about emotion. It's nothing to do with reality. Nothing. We've turned perpetual war into the only bipartisan religion left in Washington. There's one thing that everybody agrees on: war. Everybody. When Rachel Maddow is screaming with somebody about attacking Syria for reasons we don't understand, we're onto something. Democrats and Republicans alike, a genuflect before Raytheon. Oh my God, they're not going to say it officially. They worship, somebody says, at the altar of Lockheed. And it's almost like, do you tithe, in the notion of tithing, but it's also like tithing to the Pentagon. All of this, well, you're told to tighten your belt, trust the system, right? You could forget us. You do that. You're the peasant. War is no longer the last result. It's the business model. We go right for it. It's too much money. But one day, believe it or not, AI could theoretically stop that. You got some rogue kind of radical left bot, so to speak, that has its own sense of morality. And what you can't say is the truth. Remember this. Whatever you can't say is the truth. That's the reason why they have a problem with it. That's the reason why. This is the most important thing in the world. This is what's so critical. Look at this. Big Dick from Chicago here. I know potholes. Oh, you being a truck driver. This is the most important thing in the world, but nobody cares about that. Do you believe in the broken windows theory? Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's a different issue, but it's a little different, but that's what Rudy Giuliani implemented. Look closely at what gets censored. Look, because that's where the truth hides. If you want to know what the truth is, you only take flack when you're over the target. You can suggest Trump is a foreign agent or that the 2016 election was rigged, no problem. But question a vaccine, question a bombing campaign, or a migrant surge, or the 2020 election, and you're erased. You're gone. You're shadow banned. You are deplatformed. You are through. Flagged for review. Community standards. How dare you? See how this works? That's not moderation. That's control. Control like you can't believe. Okay? Censorship, like many people think, censorship isn't just a tactic. It's an admission. It's a regime that silences criticism, isn't strong. It's brittle. And it knows its power. It knows that its power depends on keeping you confused and scared and divided and afraid to speak. Think about this. How does this thing work? I can't say this enough. Think about this. It knows its power depends on keeping you scared. Censorship is not, again, a tactic. It's an admission. If you need permission to talk, you're not free. If your speech is allowed by an algorithm, you're not free. You're not a citizen. You're a user. You're just like some consumer. Now, you know and I know. This gets really good. The trap is set. Don't step into it, okay? They're baiting you. They're playing you. Don't, baby, be careful. They want you angry. They want you loud. They want you violent. They want you nuts. They want you bouncing off the walls because that justifies the next crackdown. They will create whatever situation they need to provide the platform to make money through either police force or control or what have you. They want the MAGA crowd labeled as domestic extremists. That's what they did with the J6 crowd. They want the independent thinker to be called a conspiracy theorist. They want the real whistleblower smeared and erased and removed. And they want Trump to react so they can paint him as some kind of a madman or whatever, as some lunatic, some tyrant, I don't know what the word is. They want martial law. They would love nothing more. But don't take the bait. I know you won't. Call it out. Call them out. Name it. Expose it. But don't give them the footage they want. This is not a war of bullets. Yet, I hope never. This is a war of narrative. If you win the narrative, you win everything. Win that first and you win the war. So what I want you to understand, always remember this, is that wake up or be ruled. Imagine, again, saying this on Fox News, telling people you're being lied to. People in the news are not going to tell you you're being lied to, because that means they're lying to you. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And it's never really veered from that. We are not approaching the edge. We're in it. I mean, this is it. We're at the event horizon of the black hole. The fire is here and the regime is real and all this is happening. And the question is no longer, if, but how far they're willing to go to maintain power. Please don't dismiss what I'm saying as exaggerating. Because how far you're willing to go to stand in the way is important too. What are you willing to do? They want you fat, happy, and quiet. They just want you sedated, playing with your little games, because the trap has been set, and the flags are false, and the provocateurs or agents, they are ready to go, and the enemies are not who they tell you they are. And the real war, the real war, the one for your mind and your spirit and your country and your hopes and dreams, that's happening now. I couldn't say this any better than, or I try to. I want you, my friends, to do me a favor. Choose clarity and truth over comfort. I know that's easier said than done. I want you to choose bravery and courage over, compliance and giving in. And most of all, remember this. If it looks staged, if it sounds staged, and if it benefits the regime, cui bono, qui prodest, it probably is. This is not, please don't think that this kind of talk is crazy talk. This is precisely the truth. I cannot say this enough. I cannot say this enough. And I cannot tell you any more of how critical it is for us to recognize what's happening. Be mad. Be angry. Don't be complacent. Don't be fooled by this. Have the courage to tell people exactly what it is you believe in. I'm telling you. This is it. We've never seen anything like this before. And I also want you to listen very carefully. Do not let President Trump off the hook. You heard me. Don't ever think, well, I can't say anything. He's obviously better than Biden. But driveway gravel is better than Biden. There is no Biden. He was compromised and owned and that sort of thing. Hold him to it. Don't think just because you're MAGA and he's MAGA that everything's, no. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. Okay? It is so critical that you understand exactly how this thing works. So my friends, Pilgrim Media and Make the Dream Great Again. You were our benefactor in chief. Franco Blondie, so glad to see you back. So glad after all these years. Still crazy after all these years. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you always remember, follow Mrs. L. Lynn's Warriors. So many great stuff. Wait till you hear her stories about DC. Always also follow her on X or Twitter at Lynn's Warriors. Do it. Make sure I'm telling you this. On our sister station, Lionel Legal on YouTube. And also make sure you like this video and that you are subscribed and that you are a part of Lionel Nation. And I want to thank you for this. All right, my friends. Remember, stay subscribed. I will have something up. Maybe sometimes I'll just crank up, turn on the machine, and ready to go. Follow us. And hit that bell so that you're notified of live streams and new videos. All right, my friends. Have a great and a glorious day. And a beautiful day on this rainy Saturday afternoon. Until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dat.